Okay, so today we got a deal to go over. Sixplex.
The owner's actually a really stellar landlord who was able to move the tenants around to other properties of his. You got the gem here. Based on the location and the age, I would say it is probably Century Home.
Jake, what kind of renovations do these need?
Because it's a 6 unit, you technically could take this to a bank like RBC and go get
Hmm.
residential financing.
You're like at 34% ROI.
It may make more sense on this one, maybe not to go MLI.
There might be an Airbnb play there.
I think
Yeah,
it's a great opportunity because it is vacant.
ultimately, just I like that. Welcome back to REI Hot Seat. Andrew Hines with Jacob Campanaro here, virtual
Hello,
session.
hello.
Jake, we got a deal to review today. And hey, we had
What's
one.
what's new, Andrew?
Yeah, not too much. Yeah, just doing
Yeah.
doing the distance session still here in Florida. I know you're still enjoying the relatively mild winter in Ontario.
It's not bad at all, actually. So last night I got my motorcycle out, which is nice. It was 12
Serious?
degrees.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy. It's actually
yeah, it's good.
super cold for Florida right now. So it's just weird, wonky weather this year. But okay, so today we got a deal to go over. Sixplex, kind of a random thing to find when you find a sixplex that it's completely vacant. So what's the story behind that?
Yeah,
Can you just give me like high level what this is and tell me how
yeah,
we came across a vacant sixplex?
for sure. So the seller purchased this a little while back. He was able to go through and basically with agreements with all the tenants. There's no rent eviction here. This isn't turning off the power and water to get the tenants out. So it was an agreement with all the tenants. The owner's actually a really stellar landlord who was able to move the tenants around to other properties of his. And so I'm sure with that, it may be a little bit of, a little bit of cash to help people. They all agreed to sign N11s. And an N11 essentially is it's an agreement to mutually terminate the lease. So both the tenant and the landlord have mutually agreed. And so for this building, we have six N11s. So all the units are vacant. And the building's sitting there now and it's ready for somebody to come and pick it up and get the renos done. Right. So
Nice.
you got the gem here because it's there's so many times when people say, oh, I want to burst stuff, but I don't want to deal with tenants. Great, here it is. Um,
Yeah, a
and
lot
we're
of people
seeing
are
more and
afraid
more
of
of this
that,
right now.
right? They're afraid of having to deal
Yeah,
with the tenants. Now, of course, if you put your own tenants in there, you could have to deal with it too. So you gotta be ready for it. But where is
yeah,
it? Like which
yeah.
city?
So it's St. Catharines.
Okay, St. Catharines. Okay, so decent market there.
Yeah.
How old is the building approximately, would you say?
Ooh, I don't have an exact date on it, but based on the location and the age, I would say it is probably Century Home. Um,
Okay, so older
let's call it,
place, not a purpose
older
built.
place.
Like
Yeah.
this is something that's
No,
been
it's
retrofitted.
retrofit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just
Very similar to our last property we had on,
yeah, we were
actually.
talking about the
Right.
one in London.
Older property, retrofit. Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay.
there's good deals here on these retrofit properties. So I like
Yeah, for
talking about
sure. Okay, and what's the breakdown of this one? It's 6 units, but are they like one beds, two beds, bachelors? Do you know?
them. My understanding is they're all one beds.
Okay. So one beds, so we'll just put one do. Okay. So they do have some different prices and I'm going to show my screen here because I have a spreadsheet based on information you sent over to me just before we got on here. Um, and I put in the rent roll here on this side if you can see that. So we
Yeah.
got our 6 different units. We're assuming they're all one beds, and then we've got kind of a varying projected rent. So 1,400, 13, 1250, 15, 1250, 15. Is that what people were
Yeah.
paying, or is that what's expected on the market?
No, so this is market.
Market.
Um,
Okay.
and basically we're varying here based on different unit size, different unit layout, functionality of the units.
Okay.
So there are some smaller units in here, which is, like 1,200. Um,
Okay. So Jake, what kind of renovations do these need? Do we know?
Yeah, so all the units, yeah, I do know. So it's not, it's a colleague of mine's listing from our office or from my team here. So I'm not fully up to date on everything. It's a new listing. We just got it, but I was excited about it, so I wanted to share this. And so my understanding, and I've only seen a couple of units here, but my understanding is all the units are in similar condition, meaning that they all need cosmetic reno. Mechanically and structurally, the building is in great shape, from what I'm told. And so you'll see the renovation budget's 100K, and that's really like, many people would see that and go, "Oh, that's pretty light." Um,
Mhm.
but based on our analysis, and we had some quotes from contractors actually quote the space, and that does seem within reason of where this is going to land. Actually, we went even a
Yeah.
little bit more conservative with that number.
So
So it
100.
is really truly cosmetic rent.
So just a cosmetic reno on the 6 units, some paint, some lipstick kind of thing.
That's it.
Not putting anything
That's it.
mechanical in. Okay, because this is the next
No.
part of our analysis. So um, we've got our rent roll here, 8,200, starting here at the top. I put 2% vacancy in, although that's actually high for Ontario right now. Um, Taxes. These are the numbers that were given to me. $3,600 a year in insurance. It seems like a very reasonable conservative number. Maintenance I got in there at 5%. I don't have this set up as a replacement reserve as I should, so apologies for that, Jake. Utility 6,600. So it seems like the tenants might be paying some of their own utilities based on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. My understanding. So a separate metered hydro.
separate
Everything
meter
else is
hydro.
bulk.
So gas,
Yeah.
is there central boiler for the building? I'm guessing. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
there's
gas
central
and
boiler
water
heat.
are landlord's
Yeah,
responsibility.
so that's where that's coming from. And then so there is
Yeah.
potentially an option or an opportunity to put heat pumps in the units and get that down, but not
Well,
necessary.
and that's exactly it, right? And so I think there's two ways you can look at this, right? And so the first example, and this is more of the debt service financing side of it, which we can talk about, but because it's a 6 unit, you technically could take this to a bank like RBC and go get
Mm.
residential financing.
Oh, they'll
So
do
that's
it as
something we should
residential
talk about,
still.
right?
They'll do it as
Yeah, yeah,
residential
yeah.
still. Yeah, so you can
So
go
it's interesting because
80% and get the better rates. Yeah.
a lot of people always go, well, oh, Sixplex, we want to do a Sixplex
Mm.
so we can do CMHC. Um, we can look at the pros and cons, and we don't have all the math, and maybe we do a follow-up on this one once I get a bit more information, Andrew. But I think there's a balance here. We have to look at, okay, what's it look like as a residential purchase with a renovation and a refi,
Hmm.
right? From the calculations on the performer there, it looks pretty darn good. And then on the other hand, what's it look like as a commercial purchase, straight to CMHC, or maybe straight to MLI Select? So you go in there, close with a bridge,
Yeah.
take it through, get your MLI Select, re-rent, refinance, etc., move on. Challenge with that is your bridge rates right now in this environment are extremely high. Like bridge financing is going to be 9%, 8%, and maybe even
Well,
10%
could you
interest
not just
only.
go with RBC, not in the MLI Select program, or you go CMHC? I don't know how that would work functionally, but you just do a 1 year
Yeah.
term, and then when it comes time for renewal, that's when you go into the MLI Select. Is that feasible or
And
not
that's and
really?
that's what we talked. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's exactly what we're
Yeah.
doing here, right? So
Okay.
rather than closing with a bridge, you're going to close with a resi mortgage, and then go and do your MLI Select stuff,
Hmm.
lease it, and then refi out of the resi mortgage into an MLI
Yeah.
mortgage. And
So the seller wouldn't be okay waiting for the MLI application to try and do that on the purchase? Is that the idea, or
oh,
would
because
it
on the
not
MLI
qualify?
you'd have to do all the renos still, right?
Oh,
So you'd have to close with the bridge.
yeah, they're okay with that. So I'm just wondering, like, and this is probably good discussion for anyone watching. Like, why
Yeah, let's break
bother?
it down.
Why bother doing telling them about the renos? Like, why not just go to MLI Select as it is? Forget about the 100,000. Just
But
as is.
how are you targeting your points on MLI?
Yeah, that's the question. Exactly. So are there any points to have? I guess not. If you don't do any renovation, there's no points, and no
No.
points, no
And you're
favorable
not going to do
terms.
affordability. You're not
So
going to do affordability because affordability here is going
yeah.
to be like $1,200. So maybe
Okay.
one of the units you can do affordability with, but you want to do reno, you want to do efficiency, and
But
so
you don't really need to
how do
do
you
that,
close and
right?
do those renos?
You don't really need to
In
do
turn,
the MLI Select. Couldn't you just do a CMHC conventional? Like, I guess that's not
absolutely.
conventional, but then you'd be limited to 40 years. But this is what I want to do. So let's go back to our sheet and let's just explore what those things look like if
And
it's even
exactly. And this
necessary.
is why I like this property because I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be a good conversation piece.
Yeah. Okay. So ignore this new value mortgage thing. That's not relevant
Yeah.
right now. But okay, we've got these numbers subbed in. I don't have a landscaping and snow removal number here. Is that something we should just throw a number and a placeholder?
I 100%. I think we need to do that.
Okay,
Now, if you look at the picture of the property, there's like almost no grass. It's all
okay, so it's a
concrete, very
postage
similar to
stamp.
the one we did last time. So
So
call
we'll
it
call it
3,500, 3,000 bucks.
3,000 for the year. Yeah, I think you could find that.
And that's
Yeah.
snow removal, that's
Yeah.
landscaping, what you need to do, whatever.
Okay.
So you're 6.9 cap on based on the purchase price.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do here is we want to run two examples. We want to say what would MLI Select look like and what would
Yeah.
traditional CMHC look like, and then understanding that your baseline reno is
Mm,
100,000. How
yeah.
much more is your MLI reno going to be?
Yeah.
Another 50, another 100, right?
Yeah.
So that's a fun exercise.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And if you have like friends in the trades and whatever can install you, get a bulk discount on heat pumps or something like that, you could probably get it done pretty
Yeah.
profitably. And that's something to consider. Although I mean there's something to be said about not maxing out your debt and finding a way to make it work anyway. But so let's say
Well,
you
what do
could
you
get
have into it, right? Like,
yeah. Let's say
right?
you did
What would perfect? Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
this is
I see
residential.
what you're doing.
Assuming you could qualify. Assuming you could qualify. So you're probably going to be around that
Yeah,
6.5, maybe six even. So assuming you can qualify 80%, so 20% down, and then you're gonna have about 720 in cash flow. So if you're coming in with 20%, you're basically bringing in your land transfer, your legals, and your down payment. You're in for like 207. Here's where,
yeah,
if we don't factor any appreciation, where your return doesn't really look that great, because
exactly. Well,
you're
now you're
putting that
looking at cash on cash
right.
and
So so
yeah,
CMHC regular, you can go to 85, and then you could potentially go to 40 your AM, right? And you're probably going to get down to like a 5.5, or would you be even lower?
Right now we're doing like 4.8, 4.7.
Okay, we'll call it 5 to be conservative. So now your cash flow gets
Yeah,
juiced. Now you're up to like 1,614.
yeah, yeah.
You're
And
coming in with less down payment. You're going to be about
yeah,
159. Now the return is starting to look over 16%.
yeah,
Now that's starting to look better. And then
yeah.
we could look at the MLI Select version where you're going to get up to 90%, right? Or is it
Well,
95?
if your DCR accounts for it, right? So go
Yeah.
90,
Yeah.
go
Okay. So
90, and then I don't think you're getting 50 year AM, right? So 40 year AM is going to be the max on something like this. Let's be realistic.
because of how old it
And
is.
then interest rate, yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's like,
So the only
it's
difference
an older,
really,
it's an older retrofit home
yeah.
is
The
your
only
loan to value.
difference really then is just the percentage down, which will absolutely make a
Yeah.
difference in your return on investment
So
because
you
less
can,
money in the
but Andrew,
deal, you
we
look
can go
better.
more than 90. We can go more than 90.
That's what I'm
Why don't you
saying.
go
Yeah.
95?
Yeah, so at
Why don't you
90 it
go?
looks like a
Yeah,
21% return on the money, but we all know like, rental properties on one like this, it's, there's more than just money that goes into it. But yeah, so you're
yeah,
cash flow positive in all these scenarios. At 95, you're like a
yeah,
34% ROI. So that's where, I mean, obviously people like it. I like the idea of not pushing
yeah.
that AM to 50 like that. And you're well within the DCR requirement at 1.26 to 1.
Well. You need to be a
Yeah.
1-1
Yeah.
with MLI Select 100 point,
Yeah.
right? So you're well within that. You
Yeah.
have decent cash flow. You have a stellar return on investment.
So,
So
but the
the
issue
real question here, go for it.
The issue is like we would have to factor in those renos. So to get the MLI Select, I know it says that it's 47, but we'd have to add on like what are you, an extra 150? That brings it down, right? It
Yeah,
depends. But
yeah,
CMHC may also value you higher, right? You may be able to finance 95% of the new value. So there are some variables that make it kind of tough to say for sure. So
yeah,
you have to kind of come up with your assumption of how much money are you going to have into those renos that you can't get out on the refi. So,
yeah,
maybe that's $50,000. So maybe, we just add 50 to that. That's still like a 20% return on investment.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
No,
we're seeing a possibility, like
and
we're just talking out loud here, but we're seeing a possibilities of
yeah,
ways this could be structured to create a pretty high and unheard of really ROI at scale. And of course, this isn't
yeah,
scale, but it is $1 million asset.
for
So,
sure, right? And we can really dive into this and fine tune everything right now, Andrew. I don't think we have time to do that.
yeah, we were just
Um,
giving people a
but
taste. Obviously, you got to do your own due diligence and dig into how you would do it. But
yeah.
I just
No,
wanted to
and
show what
we
was
can really
possible.
go deep on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so like it may make more sense on this one, maybe not to go MLI.
Hmm.
We just have to factor all that in. But very simply, you can get in today with a conventional residential mortgage. If for whatever reason you can't qualify for your residential mortgage, we can
Hmm.
go bridge mortgage, right? And then we got to account for higher interest, but it's realistically, it's not that much higher. You're going from 6.57% interest on the res side to 8-9% interest on the bridge side,
Yeah.
right? And interest only versus
Yeah.
principal and interest, right? So
Yeah.
it actually might be the same at the end of the day, which is interesting here.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
so, and that's kind of your acquisition.
there's a multi-prong sort of approach. And then you could certainly acquire it just commercial, right? You could just go 25% down and then go into the
Sure.
MLI Select after a couple of years and get all your money back out or most of your money back
Yeah.
out.
And that's it. And so the grand idea here is the fact that this is a vacant 6-unit property, which is
Hmm.
they come by very seldomly. And you have
Yeah.
the ability to start fresh, start with your own tenants, build it up, and you need a little bit of capital to get in there and close the thing
Yeah.
at 950, right? And go for it. So it's a very unique, different property. That's why I wanted to bring it on today.
Yeah.
Um,
Do we
and
want
I
to, do
wish we
we,
saw more of this type of
yeah.
stuff.
Okay. Do we want to show the address here or do we want to try and do a
Yeah,
street
yeah,
view or something?
it's under contract. So yeah, please
Okay. So
let's do street view. Let's show everybody.
I just wanted to see it because I mean, St. Catharines is really close to wine country. And there might be an Airbnb play there, but I don't know the laws for Airbnb in St. Catharines. I could imagine they might not be that great. So I'll do a zoom out. I'm going to do a satellite layer first. This is the corner. This is St. Catharines, the lake there. You got all our good stuff here going over into Niagara on the Lake. Anyways, let's zoom on down here. And this is our building. Looks like it's a flat roof. No, that's a pitched roof. I stand corrected.
That's true.
Um, yeah, so we'll just drop right onto the street here. And yeah, brick structure looks like it was thoughtfully laid
It's
out in
clean
terms of,
too,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
there's
nice and
a little
clean.
bit of grass, but
Yeah.
it's clean.
Yeah, you don't have like a lot of these older buildings, their foundation isn't super rock solid and there's a little unevenness to the plot. This one looks very uniform. Everything looks very square. So I would like
Yeah.
that. This is just the nerd in me for construction coming out because I run out a lot of older buildings back in the day. Okay, yeah, like it looks like a nice clean building from the outside. Obviously, seeing some pictures of the inside would be helpful, but you can imagine, yeah, they are going to be smaller units being in a building this size, and plus, it looks like there's a basement unit or two in there, so that might account for some of those price differences. If you're in a basement, you're
Yeah,
probably paying less. So,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. So
that makes sense.
yeah, man, I think it's an interesting one. I think anybody who has that capital available, who's looking to get in and do their first BRRRR, their second BRRRR, their 10th BRRRR, I don't care. I think
Yeah,
it's a great opportunity because it is vacant. And that's
yeah,
again, I can't stress it how rare that is because I get calls constantly from people saying, "Hey, I want to do a BRRRR, but I need it vacant, or I need more vacancy,
yeah,
or how do we get tenants out?" And it's like with this one, it's like that's not even part of the conversation. It's
yeah,
purely just down numbers and math
yeah.
and knowing the market and knowing the tenant profile that's in that market.
So in an ideal world, if it were me, I wouldn't mind being in around the 90, but I'd want to play with the amortization and not even go 40. I'd want to like sacrifice a bit of the cash flow. Be,
35, yeah.
yeah, just to get it paying off quicker, just to be building equity in it that way. Um, which ultimately, just I like that because I don't know what's happening with values in the future. So that would just be me. But anyways, Jake, if people want to know more about this, we'll do the usual then. So we'll send them to the link in the description, and then they can book a call with you and learn more about this and or even just their plan in general. Correct?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, link below, guys. As always, we've had great traction with the link. I ended up speaking with this week alone, three absolutely stellar guys. Um, they all were in kind of the similar position. They had their residential maxed out. They all had 5, 6 properties, um, and they're now looking to get into that commercial world, right? The 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 world. Um, and they're all looking at, do we refi, do we sell, what are they worth, what do we do next? So, and that's exactly what this is about, right? And so I just wanted to give them all a shout out. I'm not going to give names, but three great guys. We had amazing conversations over the last week, and basically we're working through that process with them. We're saying, hey, we're going to refi this one, we're going to sell that one, and that should give you enough money to go buy a 8 unit, a 9 unit, a 10 unit with some of these creative financing structures we've been talking about. So great traction on that. Keep it coming, guys. Anybody's curious, you want to know what your current portfolio is worth, what your building's worth, what the next steps are, you're just confused or lost, that's what we're here to do. This is a 15-minute version of what we really get to dive into when you guys click on the link. So anybody who's interested, get to that link. We'll talk further. We'll set you up on a call and we'll do a coffee.
Perfect. All right, Jake. Well, thanks for doing this as always. Lots of value as usual. And yeah, we'll see you again next week.
Amazing. Thanks, Andrew.